let's talk immediately at the present. In his speech today, the big takeaway, of course, was reciprocal tariffs starting from the 2nd of April, including on countries like India, which he says have unreasonable tariffs. He specifically cited India in the context of auto, said it's 100% higher. Do you believe he's going to go ahead with that threat? He's already put up tariffs on Mexico, on Canada, doubled it on China. Are we seeing now the world heading to a trade and tariff war from the 2nd of April?
It certainly looks like that. Look, Trump has one core belief. You can go back to the 1980s when he was a real estate developer. He took out a full-page ad in the New York Times, and his main gripe was that Japan was in those days taking advantage of free trade and sending stuff to the U.S. market. He's always been a protectionist. He's always believed in tariffs. And he applies these tariffs in a kind of almost random, arbitrary way, so that the tariffs on Canada, for example, really make no sense because he's complaining about fentanyl. 2% of the fentanyl that comes into the United States comes in from Canada. So what exactly is he asking Canada for? Nobody has a good sense. If you think about these tariffs, they're so bizarre and frankly stupid because you're putting tariffs on Canada and Mexico. American cars are all made in those three countries. What we really make are North American cars, made, some parts made in Canada, some parts made in Mexico. They cross the border, assembled finally, usually in the US or Mexico. So those will get tariffed. Your integrated supply chain. The cars that will not get tariffed are the German cars, the South Korean cars, and the Japanese cars, which will come in tariff-free. Similarly, he's putting tariffs on Mexico. But so the consumer goods that come in from Mexico will get tariffed. The stuff that comes in from Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, which are mostly all Chinese-owned, Chinese-made, that's the way the Chinese have gotten around tariffs. So that will all come in. It makes no sense, but he believes in it fervently. I think he is likely to do it. I think that if I can make, India is one of the few countries for which this might be beneficial because India does have very high tariffs that actually distort the markets in India. So if India could find a way to negotiate some kind of reduction of tariffs, it would be good for India. It would be good for the relationship. But the danger, Rajdeep, is that this goes into a tit for tat. The part of the speech you played, which was the most significant, was he said, if other people respond to my tariffs, I'm going to, I'll do another tit for tat. That is a path to an upward spiral of tariffs, which would get very, very destructive and very dangerous for the world. We would end up in a inflationary world in which growth would slow and inflation would rise. That's called stagflation. We had that in the 1970s. It was devastating.
But what you're saying is, therefore, his threat of retaliatory tariffs is serious. It's not just an attempt to get countries like India and indeed other countries to the negotiating table. He actually means it. He actually believes that it is time to have this kind of, that America will not allow other countries to have high tariffs and he will insist on tit for tat tariff measures.
I think that's right. Now, again, India might be exempt from the full wrath of Donald Trump because it's frankly a small market for the U.S. Trade with India is not that high. He has certain national security reasons why he would like to be nice to India. So there's a possibility that India could get a carve-out, which is, I think, part of what Prime Minister Modi has been trying to do. But his basic attitude, Rajdeep, is tariffs are good. They shield American industry and American manufacturing. They allow me to raise revenues. He wants to create a department of external revenue, which is really crazy because if you were to even put 10% tariffs on all goods coming into America, it would not even raise 5% of the revenues that the US government needs. Tariffs, it comes out of a 19th century world, but it's a world he believes in.